Hi everybody, my name is Emily and welcome to my homestead in week 4 of the Three Rivers Challenge. We started out this week with something super fancy and difficult, aka frozen pizza. I just scooch a little bit of pepperoni to one side since my middle child doesn't like it, and there you have it. The next night we had breakfast for dinner. We started out with frying up some pancakes, which that same middle child asked me for an after-school snack the rest of the week. And then we have some scrambled eggs. We served that with steamed vegetables, and that was that night's dinner. This week I decided to try a different bread recipe. This is a challah bread recipe that was suggested to me by my sister, and she usually makes it in a loaf pan and uses it for grilled cheese sandwiches. I failed miserably at this. I've got to tell you, I ain't no challah bread girl, at least not yet. The first loaf didn't rise very well, the second loaf was not cooked all the way through, and the third loaf was a little overdone. Actually, the third loaf turned out okay, and we were able to eat it just fine. We turned the first and second loaf into tonight's dinner, which is more breakfast for dinner. We started out with melting butter in a pan and mixing in brown sugar until it was all dissolved. We cut up those first 2 loaves of challah bread. They hadn't quite baked all the way through, so I thought this would be the perfect recipe in a French toast casserole to get them the rest of the way cooked and make use of them. Next, we got our farm fresh eggs cracked into a bowl. We added milk, vanilla, nutmeg, cinnamon, and cloves, and get that all whisked up. To a casserole dish, we pour in the melted butter and sugar mixture and spread that out along the bottom. And then we add in the chopped up challah bread in an even layer. On top of that goes the egg mixture, and this will sit in the refrigerator for up to 8 hours. Once I had the French toast casserole in the oven, I started mixing up some breakfast sausage with ground pork I had in the freezer. I had 3/4 pound, but the recipe was for 2 pounds, and I did not adjust the seasoning accordingly, so it was a little over-seasoned. A couple of the kids minded, but the rest of us thought they were pretty good. We also made some steamed broccoli to go with that, and here's the finished casserole. Then we added a little bit of powdered sugar on the top of the casserole. We continued our week of simple meals with home-canned tricolor beans seasoned with bacon grease and salt. We have some pasta sauce heating up, and of course spaghetti to go with it. My youngest child decided she wanted to be the one to put the spaghetti in the pan today. And here's the completed meal, along with some garlic bread made by my youngest child. To end this week, we are going from simple to very complicated. We are going to make a variation of coq au vin, which is chicken and wine. First, we're going to get a marinade ready, starting with the rest of the white wine I had in the fridge. Traditional coq au vin calls for red wine, and I had about half the amount needed for the recipe, so we'll make up that liquid later. This is the night before, and I'm going to have the chicken marinade in this with the bay leaf, the thyme, and the wine overnight. And we have the rooster you may have seen in the video where we did the freezer reorganization. This rooster's name is Billy Bob, and he was mean, so he went to freezer camp. And I'm going to part him out, and with clean hands I'm going to shake kosher salt all over both sides and then stick him in the marinade, and we'll pop that in the fridge. The next night we'll take the chicken out of the marinade and pat all the pieces dry. To a large Dutch oven, I added bacon grease because this recipe called for lardons, which I did not have, and so this is the closest thing. Once that's melted and hot, we put all the chicken into the pan. and then we're going to brown it on both sides. While the chicken is browning, I will dice up a large onion and then a large carrot. After removing the brown chicken from the pan, we'll add the carrots and onions. We'll cook those for several minutes. While that's cooking, I will mince up this garlic. Then we add just 1 teaspoon of tomato paste to the pan, as well as that garlic, and get it all stirred in and coated well and cook for about a minute. Next, we add a tablespoon of flour, mix that in and let that cook for about a minute as well. Meanwhile, I'm going to get the rest of this can of tomato paste into this silicone mold to put in the freezer. To the pot, I'm going to add the marinade, and to make up for the 1.5 cups of missing wine, I'm going to add a jar of home canned chicken broth. After this simmers for a while and reduces by about half, we add the chicken back in, cover it up, and it is going to simmer this way for an hour. This broth turned out rich and delicious, and the Old Tough Rooster turned out pretty tender. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.